Hello everyone, and welcome to today's podcast. My name is Jessica, and I am truly delighted that you have chosen to spend some time with me today. Whether this is your first time listening or you are a regular follower, I want to assure you that you are in the right place if your goal is to improve your English speaking skills and feel more confident in your conversations. In today's episode, we are going to focus on a challenge that almost every English learner encounters at some point: freezing in the middle of a conversation. Have you ever been in a situation where you wanted to speak English, but suddenly your mind went completely blank? Maybe you knew the answer, or you knew what you wanted to say, yet the words simply would not come out. You might have felt stuck, nervous, or even embarrassed. That feeling, my friend, is what we call freezing. And it is completely normal. Freezing is something that happens to millions of English learners around the world. Even people who speak English fluently or those who have lived in English-speaking countries sometimes experience this. So if it has ever happened to you, I want you to understand that it does not mean you are bad at English, nor does it mean that you will never be able to speak confidently. It simply means that your brain and your mouth are adjusting to the process of thinking and speaking in a new language, and that is a skill that takes practice. In this podcast, we are going to break down the problem of freezing step by step. First, I will explain what freezing really means in the context of English conversation. We will explore why it happens, the psychological and practical reasons behind it, and how it can affect your confidence and your ability to improve. Then, we will look at the most common causes of freezing. Some of them may be very familiar to you, such as fear of making mistakes, lack of vocabulary, translating from your native language, or feeling pressure to speak like a native speaker. By identifying the reasons that apply to you personally, you can start to take control of your learning process and overcome these obstacles more effectively. After understanding the causes, I will share practical tips, strategies, and exercises that you can start using right away. These tips are not just theoretical ideas, they are simple, actionable steps that anyone can apply in daily life. From slowing down your speech and using safe phrases, to building vocabulary gradually, practicing with yourself, and thinking directly in English, every tip is designed to help you reduce freezing and increase your speaking confidence. We will also cover a short, manageable daily routine that can train your brain and mouth to work together more smoothly, so that you can start speaking naturally and confidently, even in challenging situations. Finally, I want this episode to give you not only practical tools but also motivation. Learning English is a journey, and sometimes it can feel overwhelming when you compare yourself to others or when you struggle in conversations. But remember, freezing is just a small step on the path to improvement. With patience, consistent practice, and the right mindset, you can overcome these moments of hesitation and speak with more confidence. By the end of this episode, my goal is for you to feel empowered, motivated, and ready to face your next English conversation without fear. So stay with me, take notes if you like, and listen carefully as we explore why freezing happens and how to stop it. This episode will give you clear explanations, practical strategies, and encouragement that will help you grow in your English speaking journey. Let's get started. Now, let's take a closer look at what freezing really means in English conversation. When I use the term freeze, I'm not talking about the cold weather or ice. I'm referring to a very specific moment that many English learners experience when speaking. Freezing happens when your brain and your mouth stop working together. You know what you want to say, and you may even know the exact words in English, but somehow, they just do not come out. Your thoughts are ready, but your voice is silent. It feels as if your mind has gone completely blank, almost like a computer that suddenly stops functioning. This can be extremely frustrating and discouraging, especially when you have prepared yourself to speak or you know the topic well. Imagine, for example, that you are sitting in a classroom. Your teacher asks you a question in English. In your mind, you know the correct answer, maybe even perfectly in your native language. But when it's time to speak in English, your brain feels blocked. Your mouth does not move, your voice disappears, and you cannot form a complete sentence. That is freezing. It is not about forgetting English, it is about the momentary inability of your brain to translate knowledge into speech under pressure. Another common example happens in social situations. You meet a new person, and they ask, "How are you?" On the surface, this is an extremely simple question, something you have probably answered countless times in English. But suddenly, you feel nervous, shy, or self-conscious. Your mind races with thoughts. What if I say it wrong? What if I sound strange? What if they judge me? Before you know it, your answer does not come out. You might just smile or nod awkwardly. That, too, is freezing. Even though the question is simple, the pressure of speaking and being evaluated in real time causes a mental block. Freezing can happen in many different situations, and it is not limited to beginners. It can occur in classrooms, during job interviews, when speaking with foreigners, or even in online video calls. It often occurs when you feel the need to perform perfectly, when you are under stress, or when you worry about making mistakes. The more pressure you feel, the more likely your brain is to freeze. This is why so many people freeze despite knowing English well. It is not a lack of skill, but a reaction to fear and stress. It is important to understand that freezing is a natural human response. Our brains are designed to react to pressure and potential judgment, and sometimes this response can temporarily shut down our ability to communicate. The key is to recognize freezing not as a personal failure but as a signal that your brain is adjusting to a new skill. Learning to speak a language fluently involves coordination between thinking and speaking, and freezing is a normal part of that learning curve. In summary, freezing in English conversation is the moment when your mind and mouth disconnect. You know what to say, but the words are trapped in your head. It can happen in classrooms, social situations, interviews, or online conversations. It is caused by stress, fear, and pressure rather than a lack of English knowledge. Understanding what freezing really is the first step toward overcoming it. When you accept that it is a normal and common experience, you can start to take practical steps to manage it, build your confidence, and speak more freely. By recognizing and understanding freezing, you are not only aware of why it happens, but you are also preparing yourself to face it with strategies that will allow your thoughts and words to flow more smoothly. In the next sections of this podcast, we will explore the main reasons why freezing occurs and practical ways to overcome it so that you can speak English confidently, even under pressure. Now that we understand what freezing really means, let's explore the main reasons why it happens to so many English learners. By identifying these causes, you can start to understand your own experiences and take steps to overcome them. Freezing in conversation is rarely about a lack of intelligence or effort. Instead, it is usually caused by psychological and practical factors that interfere with the smooth flow of your thoughts into speech. One of the most common reasons learners freeze is fear of making mistakes. Many people worry about saying the wrong word, using incorrect grammar, or mispronouncing something. You may think, what if they laugh at me? What if I sound foolish? This fear can be so strong that it literally stops your brain from sending the right signals to your mouth. Instead of speaking, you stay silent, trying to avoid embarrassment. It's important to remember that mistakes are completely normal. Everyone makes mistakes, even native speakers. Learning a language involves trial and error, and mistakes are essential for growth. However, when fear dominates, it creates a mental block that causes freezing. Another significant reason learners freeze is low confidence. You might believe that your English is not good enough or compare yourself to others who speak better. Negative self-talk like, I can't do this, or I'm not fluent, can make you hesitant to speak. Confidence works like a muscle, it needs regular exercise. If you do not practice speaking often or if you constantly criticize yourself, your confidence becomes weak. A weak confidence muscle makes freezing much more likely, even if you have a good command of vocabulary and grammar. Sometimes freezing happens simply because you do not know enough words. You might want to explain something, but the right word does not come to mind. While your brain searches for the correct vocabulary, silence grows, and the conversation stalls. Limited vocabulary can make you feel frustrated and may even cause you to give up mid-sentence. This is why consistent vocabulary building, learning words in context, and practicing them in daily speech are essential steps to reduce freezing. The more familiar words become, the faster they come to your mind in real conversations. Many learners try to translate every sentence from their native language into English. This process takes time and increases pressure because conversations often happen quickly. While you are translating, the other person is waiting, and suddenly you feel rushed or anxious. This extra mental effort can cause your brain to freeze, preventing you from speaking smoothly. Training yourself to think directly in English, even with simple sentences, is a critical step toward overcoming this issue. Another common reason is the pressure to speak at the same speed as native speakers. Learners often listen to fluent speakers online, in videos, or in person, and then feel they must match their pace. However, your brain and mouth may not be ready to produce words that quickly, especially when under stress. Trying to rush your speech can overwhelm your mental processing, leading to freezing. Remember, speaking slowly and clearly is far more effective than trying to speak fast and stumbling or freezing. Social pressure plays a significant role in freezing. You might worry about what others will think of your accent, your grammar, or the way you express ideas. The fear of judgment can be so strong that it paralyzes your ability to speak. This is especially common in group settings, public speaking situations, or when speaking with strangers. Understanding that most people are focused on the message, not your mistakes, can help reduce this pressure over time. Sometimes, the problem is not a lack of vocabulary or knowledge but too much thinking. You might be thinking about grammar, word choice, pronunciation, tone, and other people's reactions all at the same time. When your brain tries to handle too many tasks simultaneously, it can overload, and your speech may stop. Overthinking is like a traffic jam in your mind. Thoughts and words get stuck, causing freezing. Learning to focus on communication rather than perfection can reduce this mental congestion. So, to summarize, the main reasons why learners freeze in English conversations include fear of making mistakes, lack of confidence, limited vocabulary, translating from your native language, pressure to speak fast like native speakers, fear of judgment, and overthinking. For most learners, one or two of these reasons may be particularly strong, while others are less relevant. In some cases, multiple factors combine to create a significant mental block. The good news is that freezing is not permanent. Understanding the root causes is the first step toward overcoming it. Once you recognize why you freeze, you can take specific actions to address each issue. For example, building vocabulary gradually can help with word retrieval, practicing thinking in English can reduce translation pressure, and learning to accept mistakes can reduce fear and anxiety. By addressing these causes systematically, you can train your brain to respond more calmly and naturally during conversations, allowing you to speak more freely and confidently. Remember, freezing is a normal part of the language learning process. It is not a reflection of your abilities, intelligence, or potential. Every learner experiences it at some point, and with the right strategies, you can overcome it step by step. Now that we have discussed why freezing happens and some strategies to manage it, let's talk about a practical way to apply these ideas every day. One of the most effective ways to improve your English speaking skills and reduce freezing is to follow a structured daily practice routine. Even just 15 minutes a day, if done consistently, can make a significant difference in your confidence, fluency, and ability to think in English naturally. The key is to focus on exercises that train your brain, mouth, and overall communication skills. Here is a simple but powerful routine that takes only 15 minutes, divided into 3 parts: self-talk, shadowing, and real or simulated conversation practice. Step 1. 5 minutes of self-talk. The first step is self-talk, which involves speaking to yourself in English for 5 minutes each day. You can do this in front of a mirror, sitting at a quiet desk, or anywhere you feel comfortable. The goal is to practice thinking in English and expressing your thoughts out loud without pressure from other people. During this exercise, you can describe what you are doing, what you plan to do later, or how you feel. For example, you might say, "I am drinking tea. Later I will go to the market. I feel happy today." You can also talk about your opinions, your plans, or small observations about your surroundings, like, "The sky is blue. The weather is warm." The important thing is to speak continuously, even if the sentences are simple. Self-talk trains your brain to produce English words automatically, reduces the habit of translating from your native language, and strengthens your speaking confidence over time. Step 2. 5 minutes of shadowing. The second part of the routine is shadowing, which is an exercise used by many language learners and professional interpreters. For 5 minutes, choose a short English video, podcast clip, or dialogue, and play it while trying to repeat the words immediately after the speaker. Your goal is to copy their speed, tone, pronunciation, and rhythm as closely as possible. Shadowing has several benefits. First, it improves your listening comprehension because you have to follow the speaker closely. Second, it helps you speak more naturally by training your mouth and brain to coordinate. Third, it reduces the amount of time your brain needs to search for words during conversation. Even if you make mistakes, keep going, this is normal. The more you practice shadowing, the more comfortable you will feel speaking in real conversations, and the less likely you are to freeze under pressure. Step 3. 5 minutes of real or simulated conversation practice. The final 5 minutes involve practicing with another person or simulating conversation if no partner is available. If you have a friend, classmate, or online speaking partner, try to have a short conversation. If you don't have someone to speak with, you can practice with AI, record yourself answering questions, or talk about your daily activities aloud. For example, you can answer questions like, "What did you eat today?" or "What is your favorite movie?" The goal of this step is to apply what you practiced in self-talk and shadowing to real-life speaking situations. It trains you to respond under pressure, even for a short time, and gradually builds your ability to communicate naturally. By practicing consistently, you learn to stay calm, find words faster, and reduce hesitation or freezing. Consistency and mindset. The key to success with this daily routine is consistency. 15 minutes may seem short, but when practiced every day, it adds up and creates meaningful improvement. This routine is designed to be manageable, so you are more likely to stick with it without feeling overwhelmed. Over time, your speaking confidence will grow, your vocabulary will become more accessible, and your brain will learn to think in English automatically. Additionally, remember to approach this routine with a positive mindset. Focus on progress rather than perfection. Celebrate small improvements, even if it is just speaking one sentence more confidently than the day before. Be patient with yourself, because building fluency and overcoming freezing takes time, practice, and persistence. Conclusion. To summarize, the daily practice routine consists of 3 steps. 5 minutes of self-talk, practice speaking alone to build confidence and think in English. 5 minutes of shadowing, imitate native speakers to improve pronunciation, rhythm, and fluency. 5 minutes of real or simulated conversation practice, apply your skills in interactive situations to reduce freezing. By following this 15-minute daily routine consistently, you can develop the habit of speaking English naturally, reduce the fear of making mistakes, and gradually overcome freezing. Remember, small daily steps lead to big results. With persistence, patience, and practice, your English speaking ability will continue to grow, and you will feel more confident in every conversation. Before we finish today's episode, I want to leave you with some motivation and encouragement. Learning English is a journey, and it is normal to encounter challenges along the way. One of the most common obstacles for English learners is freezing during conversation. You may feel nervous, unsure of what to say, or worried about making mistakes. But I want you to remember something very important: you are not alone. Almost every English learner experiences this at some point. Freezing does not mean that you are bad at English or that you will never be able to speak fluently. It simply means that your brain is adjusting to a new skill, and that is perfectly normal. Think about how a baby learns to walk. Babies fall down many times before they can walk confidently. They do not give up after a single fall. Instead, they stand up again and again, gradually gaining strength, balance, and confidence. Learning English works in the same way. Freezing is like one of those small falls on the path to success. Every time you face it and keep trying, you are training your brain and your speaking skills. You are learning, growing, and moving closer to your goal. It is also important to remember that your goal is not to speak perfect English. Perfection is not required for communication. People who listen to you want to hear your ideas, your feelings, and your story. They are not focused on your grammar mistakes or your accent. What truly matters is your ability to connect with others, to express yourself, and to communicate effectively. When you shift your focus from perfection to connection, you will feel less pressure, less fear, and less likelihood of freezing. Next, remind yourself that every small step matters. Even if you only speak one sentence more confidently than yesterday, it is progress. Every practice session, every conversation, and every attempt to communicate in English strengthens your skills and builds your confidence. Over time, these small steps accumulate into big results. You will notice that your speaking becomes smoother, your thoughts flow faster, and your fear of freezing gradually decreases. When you feel nervous or stuck in a conversation, try these simple strategies. Pause and take a deep breath, smile, and remind yourself that it is okay to make mistakes. Use safe phrases like, "let me think," or "I'm not sure, but I think," to buy yourself time. Remember that freezing is temporary. With patience and practice, you can overcome it. Positive self-talk is also very powerful. Tell yourself, "I can do this. I will try. It is okay if I make mistakes." Your mindset plays a huge role in how confidently you speak. Finally, keep practicing every day, even if it is just for a few minutes. Use the daily routine we discussed: self-talk, shadowing, and conversation practice. Small, consistent efforts will help you build fluency, reduce hesitation, and feel more comfortable speaking in real-life situations. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small it seems, and stay committed to your learning journey. To sum up, freezing is a normal part of learning English, but it does not define your abilities. With persistence, patience, and practice, you can overcome it. Focus on progress, not perfection. Use mistakes as learning opportunities. Keep speaking, keep practicing, and keep believing in yourself. One day, you will look back and realize that the moments when you froze were just stepping stones to speaking English confidently and naturally. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I hope this episode has given you clarity, practical strategies, and motivation to face your next English conversation with confidence. Remember, small steps lead to big results. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and never give up. Your English journey is about growth, connection, and progress, and every effort you make brings you closer to your goal. This is Jessica wishing you success, confidence, and joy in your English learning journey. Take care, keep speaking, and I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye.